Advocates for voice must respond to the changing debate dynamic. In August 2019, then Minister for Indigenous Australians Ken Wyatt used the Vincent Lingiari Memorial Lecture in Darwin to rule out enshrining a voice to Parliament in Australia's constitution. As the first Indigenous person to occupy that ministry since its creation in 1968, Wyatt conceded that his decision to aim for basic recognition of Indigenous Australians rather than a voice would break hearts, but cited the nation's history of voting no in referendums, with only 8 out of 44 propositions winning approval. Polling conducted by the Resolve Political Monitor for The Age this week suggests his fears were justified. To succeed, the referendum requires a majority both nationwide and in each state, and the polling shows support for a yes vote declining, not only recently but also over the longer term. Resolve's director Jim Reid says the recent drop is about voters feeling they don't have enough information to make what they regard as an important decision. This is about knowing what the makeup, powers, scope and outcomes of the voice will be. It is not a public rejection of Indigenous recognition at all, and should not be confused with that. As leading Indigenous campaigner Noel Pearson noted on Monday, the eggs of recognition and the voice are now in the same basket. Pearson was responding to the coalition's repeated call for more detail on the voice proposal, which he labeled a diversion. Rebuking opposition leader Peter Dutton, one letter writer argued that unlike the Republic referendum, no conservative shibboleth is at stake. In fact, the deepest conservative shibboleth of all is at work, that we live in the greatest of all nations and that any change to its traditional structures invites disaster. That is the meaning of the passage in Dutton's letter to the Prime Minister about whether the voice would interfere with the system of government which has kept our country a stable and peaceful democracy for over a century. The effects of the coalition's approach, whatever its merits, cannot be wished away. As was the case with the Republic, voice opponents also raised concerns over additional bureaucracy, enlarging what Scott Morrison liked to call the Canberra bubble. The Age has consistently supported the voice as an advisory body, comprising First Nations representatives, that could make recommendations to Parliament about laws and policies affecting Indigenous people. We believe it is something most Australians want too. As our chief political correspondent David Crowe reminds us, the campaign for change is not about persuading Dutton. It is about persuading millions of Australians. And that requires a more compelling answer to keep the voters who already support the voice and win over those who are unsure about what it is meant to do.